Pay attention to Alexis, because she did everything right. She reported it. She filed the paperwork. She went to the hospital. She cooperated with police. She trusted her best friend. And 4 days later, she was dead. Here's the thing nobody tells you about this case. The part that doesn't make the headline. The part they kinda skip over when they summarize it in 2 paragraphs on a news website. Alexis Crawford wasn't killed by a stranger. She wasn't followed home. She wasn't in the wrong place at the wrong time. She was killed inside her own apartment on Halloween night by the 2 people she trusted the most, and one of those people had been warned, had been told, had been given every chance to choose the right side, and chose wrong. Stick with me, because this story has layers, and the deeper we go, the worse it gets. Welcome to Last Witness. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more haunting crime stories that expose how modern technology connects us to both opportunity and danger. Clark Atlanta University. Fall 2019. Alexis Janae Crawford was 21 years old and 1 semester away from graduating. Pre-law, sharp. The kind of student who already had a plan for what came after. Her family described her as the light of the room, the one who FaceTimed her mom just to say hi, who laughed loud, who loved her little siblings like they were her whole world. On the 30th of October 2019, the last full day of her life, she FaceTimed her mother, Tammy Crawford, at 3:30 in the afternoon. She seemed, by her mother's account, completely fine, laughing, normal, happy. That's the thing about last conversations. You never know they're the last one. Alexis lived off campus in an Atlanta apartment she shared with her roommate. And her roommate, Jordyn Jones, wasn't just some random girl she'd been assigned to. They were close, real close. Close enough that Jordyn had spent holidays at the Crawford family home. Close enough that Alexis's family treated her like their own. Close enough that Alexis would have called Jordyn her best friend without hesitating. That word is going to mean something very different by the end of this story. Now, before we get to Halloween night, we need to back up 4 days. Because what happened on October 26th is the entire reason Alexis Crawford is dead. And almost nobody leads with this part. There was a man named Barron Brantley, 21 years old, Jordyn Jones's boyfriend. He'd been around the apartment, hanging out, staying over the way boyfriends do when they're in that early phase where they're basically a third roommate nobody officially invited. Alexis knew him. She had no reason not to trust him. He was her roommate's boyfriend. That's all he was. On the night of October 26th, Crawford and Brantley had been drinking. What happened next is what Brantley would spend the rest of his time in a jail cell trying to minimize. Alexis Crawford alleged that Barron Brantley sexually assaulted her. She went to Grady Memorial Hospital the next morning. She submitted to a rape examination. The DNA evidence came back. It substantiated her claim. And on October 27th, 4 days before she would be murdered, Alexis Crawford did exactly what every victim is told to do. She went to the police. She filed a report. She named him. She was not silent. She was not passive. She fought for herself the only way the system tells you to. Now here's the part where this story takes a turn that will make your stomach drop. When Alexis filed that report, her roommate, Jordyn, already knew. Jordyn had found out about the assault before the police report was even filed. In fact, a family friend named Brittany, not Jordyn, is the one who actually called police that night. Because Jordyn had called Brittany and said, and I want you to hear this carefully, "Hey, my car's stolen. And also, I think something happened to my friend. My car's stolen. And also, I think something happened to my friend." That's the sentence. That's the order of priorities. In the same phone call, on the same night, her roommate had just been raped. But wait, before we get to what Jordyn did next, we need to talk about that 911 call. The same night, October 26th, Jordyn Jones called 911. Not about Alexis. Not about the assault. Not about the man who had just allegedly raped her roommate. She called to report her car stolen. Brantley had taken her Chevy Cruze. The two had gotten into an argument specifically, an argument about whether he had raped Alexis. He grabbed her keys. He left. She called 911. "Yes, my ex-boyfriend just stole my car," she tells the dispatcher. "He took my keys and ran. That's it." No mention of Alexis. No mention of the assault. No mention of the fact that a crime against another human being had just occurred inside that apartment. She called the police to get her car back. Now, I want you to hold that. File it away. because it tells you exactly where Jordyn Jones's head was on October 26th. But here's what makes this worse. Here's the open loop that doesn't close until Halloween night. After that argument, after that 911 call, after Alexis filed her police report and named Brantley as her rapist, Jordyn Jones let him back in. She didn't cut him off. She didn't pick a side. She hid him in her bedroom. And this is confirmed by police testimony. She left Barron Brantley alone in their shared apartment with Alexis Crawford while she went to class. The man Alexis had just reported to police for raping her. Alone. With her. In the apartment, she couldn't leave because it was her home. Think about what that felt like for Alexis. Think about what she must have been thinking every single day between October 27th and October 30th. She did the right thing. She reported it, and the person who was supposed to be her best friend was hiding him 30 feet away from her bedroom door. Something was building in that apartment. Something was going to break, and it broke on Halloween, October 30th. A Thursday, the night before Halloween. Jordyn tells Alexis she'll take her on a late-night run to the liquor store. Just the two of them. Girls' night. Normal. Alexis goes. They come back, and that's when Alexis finds out. Brantley is there, inside the apartment. He'd been there the whole time, hidden in Jordyn's room, her rapist. The man she'd reported to police. He was sleeping 20 feet from her bed. A fight breaks out between Alexis and Jordyn. A real one. A physical one. And then Barron Brantley walks out of the bedroom. What happened next took seconds. Brantley got his hands around Alexis Crawford's throat and choked her. Detective Michael Young testified about what followed, that Jordyn Jones grabbed a black plastic trash bag and put it over Alexis's head. Alexis Crawford asphyxiated. She was 21 years old. She was one semester from graduating. She had done everything right. It was the early morning hours of October 31st, 2019, Halloween. And then the apartment went quiet. This is the part of the story that reveals character in a way courtroom testimony never quite captures. After Alexis stopped breathing, they cleaned. Investigators would later find blood in at least 6 separate locations in the living room. Blood in the bathroom sink. Blood on a sponge in the kitchen sink. Blood in the carpet. They used luminol and lit that apartment up like a crime scene Christmas tree. But Jordyn and Barron didn't know about luminol. They thought they'd cleaned it. Then they got a plastic bin, a Rubbermaid container that Jordyn's parents had bought specifically to help her pack up and move back to Michigan. They put Alexis Crawford's body inside it. Parking garage surveillance cameras don't lie. At 3 a.m., the footage shows Jordyn Jones and Barron Brantley pulling her car up to the building's side door, the one that opens directly from the apartment hallway. Detective Young testified he believes that's where they loaded the body into the car. They drove to Exchange Park in Decatur, Georgia. They took the bin to the top of a hill and pushed it over. Alexis Crawford's body rolled out onto the ground. She was wrapped in a blue blanket. Her hands were bound. The plastic bag was still over her head. They left her there, in the dark, in the woods. And then, here's the detail that almost defies comprehension. They went to a Halloween party. On November 1st, the day after Halloween, Alexis's family reported her missing. Her sister had been texting her. No response. Her mother had been trying to reach her. Nothing. The girl who FaceTimed her mom just to say hi had gone completely silent. Jordyn Jones told police she had last seen Alexis when she dropped her off after the liquor store run on October 30th. Said she went to her room, went to sleep, woke up in the morning, and Alexis was just gone. Simple as that. Police took the report. They started looking. They came back to Jordyn with questions. She answered them. She was calm. She had a story, and she was sticking to it. Then they showed her the parking garage footage. 3 a.m, her car, her boyfriend, the side door, a trip they'd never mentioned. Jordyn Jones broke. Detective Young testified. Then she finally stated that Barron Brantley was inside the house with her. Her and Alexis got into a fight, and during that fight, Barron Brantley came outside of the bedroom and choked Alexis. And then she told them where the body was. But first, before we get to that, I need to tell you about the text messages. While all of this was unfolding, while Alexis's family was filing a missing persons report and police were canvassing Atlanta looking for a 1-year-old girl, Jordyn Jones was texting a friend named Ayanna Williams. The texts weren't about guilt, weren't about grief, weren't about Alexis at all. Jordyn needed a favor. She needed Ayanna to help her replace a Rubbermaid bin. The specific bin, the one her parents had bought her to pack her things for the move back to Michigan. She needed it replaced before her parents noticed it was gone. Ayanna Williams read those texts and knew immediately what they meant. She screenshotted every single one and walked them directly to police. That was the second nail. The parking garage footage was the first. The text messages were the second. And if you're wondering whether Jordyn Jones understood, on some level, that she was caught, here's your answer. She had already withdrawn from Clark Atlanta University after the killing. She was preparing to leave Atlanta. She was trying to replace the evidence. She was running a cleanup operation from inside what she thought was a normal life. It wasn't. On November 8, 2019, 1 week after Alexis's family reported her missing, Jordyn Jones led investigators to Exchange Park in Decatur. Her father walked beside her, a law enforcement officer himself, from Michigan. He had driven to Atlanta to support his daughter. And he stood there while his daughter walked police through a wooded park and pointed to where she and her boyfriend had rolled a plastic bin down a hill and left a 21-year-old girl in the dark. Alexis Crawford had been there for 8 days. She was found wrapped in a blue blanket, hands bound, the plastic bag still around her head with a single hole in it, the kind of detail that gets into your head and doesn't leave. Jordyn Jones and Barron Brantley were both arrested, both charged with felony murder, malice murder, aggravated assault with strangulation, and concealing the death of another. Both denied bond, not once, but twice. At the bond hearing, Alexis's mother, Tammy Crawford, stood up in that courtroom and said, "I have to go to a grave to talk to my daughter. We should be getting ready to celebrate her graduation from Clark, but her life is gone over nothing, over a guy. Jordyn chose to go to the evil side, and it's hurtful, over a guy." That's what it came down to. Alexis Crawford reported her roommate's boyfriend for rape, and her roommate chose him. Here's the part of the story nobody talks about, the part that should make you furious. It is now 2026. Jordyn Jones and Barron Brantley have been sitting in Fulton County Jail since November 2019. No trial, no verdict, no closure for Tammy Crawford, who is still going to a grave to talk to her daughter. The case has been tangled in pre-trial legal battles for years. In April 2025, nearly 6 years after the murder, the Georgia Supreme Court was still sorting out the basics. Whether Brantley's jail phone calls could be used as evidence. A lower court had ruled they couldn't. The Georgia Supreme Court reversed that. The calls are in. Trial was approaching as of mid-2025. But approaching is not the same as arrived. Alexis Crawford graduated from Clark Atlanta University posthumously in 2020. Her family accepted the diploma. They stood on that stage and they received what she had worked 4 years to earn. And then they went home to a world where the people who killed her were still eating 3 meals a day, still making phone calls, still filing motions and counter-motions, while a legal system built to deliver justice moved at the pace of something that doesn't understand urgency. Let me tell you what this case is really about. Because if you walk away from this thinking it's just a story about a bad roommate and a worse boyfriend, you've missed the point. Alexis Crawford was killed because she reported a rape. Not in the abstract. Not because reporting rape is statistically dangerous, though it can be. She was killed because she specifically reported Barron Brantley, and Barron Brantley had a girlfriend who had access to Alexis every single day, and that girlfriend decided that protecting her relationship was more important than protecting her friend's life. Alexis went to the hospital. She submitted to an examination that is invasive and humiliating and exhausting. She gave the police his name. She trusted the process. She trusted that the person sleeping in the next room would not use that trust as a weapon against her. She trusted wrong. And every woman who hears this story and decides not to report, every woman who looks at what happened to Alexis and says, "See, what's the point?" That's the second crime. That's the part that doesn't end when the case closes. That's the ripple. There's a question I want to leave you with. Not a legal question, not a procedural one. On the night of October 26th, Jordyn Jones knew. She knew what Brantley had done. She called Brittany. She said, "I think something happened to my friend." She knew. She had 4 days to make a different choice. 4 days where she could have told Brantley to leave and not come back. 4 days where she could have sat with Alexis, not against her. 4 days where she could have been the friend she'd claimed to be for years. What was she thinking about instead? Her car, the Rubbermaid bin, the Halloween party. I'll let you sit with that. There's one more thing. When police found Alexis Crawford in those woods at Exchange Park, she hadn't been alone the whole time. The flies had found her first. They always do. It's not dramatic. It's not cinematic. It's just biology. It's what happens when something living stops being alive and the world outside doesn't know yet. No investigation needed. No missing persons report. No parking garage footage. They just showed up. They did what they were made to do. Jordyn Jones had a choice. She had 4 full days of choices, and every single one of them, she made the wrong one. That's the thing that separates the flies from the people in this story. Alexis Crawford graduated from Clark Atlanta University in 2020, posthumously. Her family walked across that stage and accepted what she had spent 4 years earning, and then went home to a world where nobody had been held accountable yet. As of 2026, Jordyn Jones and Barron Brantley have been sitting in Fulton County Jail for over 6 years, with no trial and no verdict. In September 2025, the case was delayed again after a judge ruled that evidence of the sexual assault, the entire reason Alexis is dead, could not be introduced at trial. Prosecutors appealed. The Georgia Supreme Court, earlier that year, had already ruled that Brantley's jail phone calls full of incriminating statements are admissible. The system is still moving, just not fast enough for Tammy Crawford, who is still going to a grave to talk to her daughter. She reported it. She went to the hospital. She cooperated with police. She trusted her best friend. She did everything right. Pay attention to Alexis Crawford. Because the system forgot her 4 days before she died. We don't have to.